Hello and welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2020 season. We are back for another race in the AMG GT3, and this time we're in the land of the rising sun for a race around the Okayama circuit and round 6 of the season. My name is Justin Sutton, and joining me, it's Chris Buxton.
Can anybody stop the mighty charge of the Kovacic? Logitech certainly hopes not, and what a track we are going to see that very battle unfold. Okayama, we had an amazing battle here before, but there is the mighty Kovacic, 40 points to the good, ahead of Eric Vizzi, who is still doing such an amazing job for Benzina. Then Prychada in third, Kujela fourth, Stefanko, who was really charged after our comments previously, apparently, in fifth position alongside Daniel Pastor along the bottom end of the field. I mean, so close, amazingly close, just 21 points even from 11th to 20th between Carney and Sikora. So that could change in a heartbeat at the tail end of the field. But we will see. This track is going to be interesting.
Yeah, they are fighting quite hard, and we saw some fantastic battles last time, and in the Teams Championship, it is Logitech that is leading the way at the moment. Not quite as big of a gap as you might expect, though. 194 to 152 of Benzina, with the Stefanko Vizzi pairing. Both of those drivers doing quite well. Kujela over at Logitech struggling a little bit, but we'll see if he can improve here today at Okayama. So just having a look at Blazek, Michael Blazek, one of our favorite drivers, one of the veterans of VGP, one of the household names as you could think of the league. But yeah, just having a look at 2019 versus 2020. So the gray parts are 2019, the red parts are 2020. You can see not quite as much points, not quite as many top 10s, and actually no top 5 finishes so far in this season. But of course, Chris, there is a big difference between the two seasons, a bigger difference than we've ever seen in VGP, considering that we've switched over to a completely different sim, so some of that is to be expected.
Absolutely. The sim is going to be the biggest change. It might seem a simple thing, you're still driving GT3 cars, but the simulation has a different feel. The physics are completely, well, say completely different, but everything takes adapting to, and not everybody could just jump straight in and bang, straight on the job. And our mighty defender, Mr. Blazek, has taken some time to adjust. The story of brotherly love. Look at this. One Corny has run out of fuel and is being pushed by the other one. How amazing was that last time out at Germany in the Nürburgring? Oh, that was amazing. And there it is from the top shot. Absolutely incredible stuff. Now, bearing in mind that the ESET car is getting penalty points for doing that, incident points, sorry, in iRacing. So he could have actually, I've seen people disqualified for doing that, but they managed to make it over the line. Such an amazing story.
It's fantastic. You love to see that kind of stuff in VGP. It's one of the few series where you actually get to see brothers racing with one another, and it's fantastic to see the help that was being given there. Yeah, fantastic. I mean, Germany was such a highlight in so many ways, but this is, a highlight amongst many highlights.
Oh yeah, and I have no doubt that we will have many more. Every race has been spectacular in different ways, and Nürburgring had one of the craziest finishes we've ever seen.
Here's how we're looking for today's race. It is 14:06 local time, 2:06 in the PM. It is a 2.268 mile long circuit with Hlebet setting the lap record. And the air temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, quite warm out there. Track temperature even warmer, 42 degrees centigrade. So it is quite warm.
So it's Kovacic and Stefanko on the front row. Oh, that could be an interesting, but still nearly half a second between them.
Wow.
Kovacic's charge still untouched. Then third row is the second Benzina car of Eric Vizzi, then Sirotek and the ESET car, then the Prychada brothers rounding out row 4 for Thrustmaster. Now, then it's Kujela, the second Logitech car, alongside Senol. Nice effort there in 10th. There is our mighty defender, Michael Blazek, in 11th, alongside Lucas Wataja in the TP Link car. Row 7 is Thomas Corrales, the Correny brothers. Is Thomas ahead of Matej this time around, then Stepanovsky and Pavel Rigel round out row 8. And that's only 1.5 seconds top to bottom as well. Then Kostelik and Kovarik round out row 9 with Vakulchik and Jan Sikora. Jan has really struggled, didn't get a time in qualifying. He's not gone his way, but we'll see. Big change after this round. It could still come his way.
Actually, I do apologize. That was a penalty for Sikora for quitting the server last time. So actually, that was a penalty for him. But yeah, he will be starting from last. But as you said, very tight if you ignore the pole sitter in terms of times as we prepare to go. Racing once again here from Okayama. Much newer cars compared to last time, though. Look at that Benzina getting a great start. Already shooting ahead of the big shot car. I believe that's Eric Vizzi. Now up into 3rd position, going around the outside of the Lenovo Legion car. A fantastic start. He's going to get the inside line. He's going to slot in behind his teammate at the beginning of this race. What a start for the Benzina guys. Stefanko holds station in 2nd place. His teammate Eric Vizzi up into 3rd position. Meanwhile, we got some contact at the back there. That's one of the big shot cars making contact, being spun around, facing the wrong direction. Let's see if he can get it going again. It looks like some minor damage, but hopefully nothing too major, as one of the Thrustmaster cars going on the attack here as we head down the back straight down towards turn 5 for the first time in this race, and that is Stepanovsky who got spun around, and he's only just now getting going again.
Yeah, he's going to be at least half a lap down before he gets going again. That's a great shame for Stepanovsky. A bit of a difficult qualifying for him. There's the other big show car being challenged now by the Mogul. Oh, that was Blasek getting a little bit. And a big punch in the face from Fahara there in the big show car. Oh dear, it has not gone well for the yellow and black cars, as that puts Hara all the way down to 18th position now. But yeah, what a cracking start from Eric Vizzi from, say 3rd row, I think it was, 2nd or 3rd row. And he's now right up by Stefanko. Did we not say, keep an eye on Eric Vizzi? Did we not say that he is really, a change in the guard, which is the comment that upset Mr. Stefanko in the first place? He's proved it again. What a cracking start. Granted, there's nothing to be won from a good start, but, he's put himself right on the tail of his teammate as we look at Daniel Pastor now looking at Mateja and the TP Link car in 8th position after a steady start. Bit of a gap forming between Kujela and Blasek. Blasek, what a cracking start. He was 11th, if I recall. He's now up to 6th.
That's a fantastic start for the Mogul driver. Hasn't gone quite as well for the other Mogul of Matej Correny, but still looking at the TP Link at the moment, and holding station currently and running behind Kujela in 7th position. Pretty sizable gap. Oh, there's been some contact. That's the deck spin of Vakulchik making some contact with, I believe that's Kovarik in the Autoscola Nobe, and had to come to a complete stop. I think Kovarik at least thought that was his fault and came to a stop in order to allow the deck spin of Vakulchik to continue going. It has not been a great race so far for the deck spins. Let's be honest about that. They have been struggling through just with some incidents and that kind of thing, through not necessarily their fault. But yeah, again, this is that grouping. This is for 7th position, essentially. This is Kujela in the 2nd Logitech car, just backing people up a little bit. You can see about a 2-second gap already starting to form, and we've still got 42 minutes of racing still to go.
Absolutely. Now, you touched on this before. When we were here last time, we were in the DTM cars, the classic DTM Mercedes, and God, did they scream, but did they slide? They were very slippery cars. Of course, very different beast this time around, the mighty roar of the modern GT3 car. And that's Correny in the ESET car, having a crack at Pavel Rigel, I believe. Yes, it is. Oh, nice move. That's one of the few straights that this circuit has. This is where this circuit really does differ from pretty much anywhere else we will go. It is just short, sharp bursts. You need acceleration and balance more than raw power. So it's a really different type of circuit, and even still, Kovacic is still ruling the roost. But, plenty of time for that to change as we look at Mateja staring at the back of Kujela. That's a battle for 7th position. There at the bottom of the shot is Blasek, having a much better start to his race this time around. Lucas Pritchard's already ahead of him. The Pritchard brothers started side by side. Where's the other one? Oh, he's done in 10th. That's not the way that Thrustmaster would have wanted their race to go, but plenty of time for that all to change.
Yeah, and just going back on what you were saying, yeah, overtaking opportunities are at a premium around Okayama. You really have to strike while the iron is hot. If you see an opportunity, you got to go for it. You still got to be safe, of course, though. We still got 40 minutes of racing here, though, as we see the TP Link giving a perfect example of that. It's very difficult to overtake into Redmond there at turn 8, but that is one of the few spots that it is most likely. Difficult through turn 9 here, unless you really set it up around the outside of Redmond and then get the inside line through Hobbs, through the right-hander, through the final couple of corners. Now this penultimate corner, turn 10, opens up a little bit more compared to this final corner that you see them making their way through, just using all of the circuit as well, getting out there onto the exit curbing, and you can see that group heading down the start-finish straight. And are we going to see the Dexfin car making a move now on the, that's the Mogul car, but no, nothing doing in the background there, maintaining their positions for the meantime. But yeah, we're definitely starting to see packs starting to form. We've kind of got second through fourth, which is Stefanko, Vizzy, and Pastor. They're all running pretty close to each other. Lucas Pichata in a bit of a no man's land. He's got about 2 seconds ahead, 2 seconds behind. Then we've got that group being led by Kujela at the moment, and then a pretty big gap now starting to form between 10th and 11th. Kostulik leading that group. We're having a look at them right now. This is a replay of Senol in the Dexfin. You can see this is at the start of the race when there was lots of cars all around, cutting off the ESET car ever so slightly, firm but fair, and then just loses the back end all on his own, actually. Gets a little bit of a tap from the ESET car. The big shot car tries to go to the left-hand side to avoid the incident, but unfortunately it's just too late. That gap was rapidly closing up. So yeah, really that wasn't Senol's fault, just kind of lost the back end, and it certainly wasn't Stepanovsky's fault. And Hora, actually both big shot cars, I'm only just noticing, Chris, are in the pits and stationary, which is so unfortunate for the two of them. Interesting view we've got here, actually, for the leading Cordy brother in the ESET car, who just took over that 11th place position over Kostulik, in fact. Getting to see that onboard view with him on the right-hand side. Another lovely addition. Love the broadcast details that we get from VGP, and that's another welcomed feature.
Absolutely, someone's a virtual reality runner, and I applaud them for it. Nicely done, Tom Carney. But yeah, that was very unlucky for Stepanovsky. He had only one option. He could have gone to the right, but there wasn't a lot of room there, so he went to where there was space. Oh dear, that's Hora getting a nudge. So this is what happened to Hora all the way up towards the front of the field. That's where the spin happened with the Mogul car. He's going to get a big old punch in the face in a minute. There it is. And that's what's put him in the pits and where he still remains. Oh, are the big shot cars magnetic today, it would seem. But yeah, you just saw the huge damage to the front of a Hora's car. As we now have a look at Mateja defending like mad, coming into that's down at turn 5. That's down turn of the hairpin. That was one of the few opportunities. And again, flashing the lights. I saw that earlier. That's Sirotek in the ESET car. Now, generally, drivers do that for one or two reasons. Either they're about to be lapped by the person flashing the lights, which clearly isn't the case, or it's a sign of frustration, which I didn't really see anything wrong with what Mateja did. I would imagine Sirotek's probably feeling a little frustrated because, as you said earlier, Justin, this is a track that is difficult to overtake on, especially in cars like this that are comparatively easier to control. Bearing in mind they have traction control, to help them through the corners. What we saw here last season definitely did not. That was a case of controlling with the right foot and hope. So we saw more overtaking opportunities because the cars were just that much more lively. This time around, the drivers don't have that luxury. As we look at Corny in the Mogul car, getting very close to the back of Pavel Reichel, battle for 13th position. Right ahead of them is Kostulik in the TP Link car. There he is at the top of the shot. But yeah, I can understand people getting a little bit frustrated, but Sirotek got to keep that under control.
Yeah, no doubt about it, especially considering how much of this race we still have to go, and there's plenty of laps left to turn for these guys. So, yeah, you really want to pick your spots. And just going back to touch on what you were talking about, you're right. You're exactly right, because the DTM car was less aero dependent. First of all, it was a lot more of a mechanical sort of grip car versus an aerodynamic thing. So, oh, look at that, getting very, very close into that hairpin. And what I love about that hairpin is that you can go around the outside there. So, again, overtaking locations are at a premium, but there are a few places where you can actually go around the outside. The hairpin is one of those because you got that left-hander at Revolver for the next one. And there is that fantastic start that I was mentioning earlier from Eric Vizzy. Just from 5th up to 3rd straight away. He did have that pressure from the Lenovo Legion car. of Daniel Pastor, who had the inside line through turn 1, but then of course you get the inside line through the next left-hander if you're on the left-hand side of the circuit. So that is exactly how Eric Vizzi put himself into podium contention straight away. But yeah, these are much more aerodynamically dependent cars compared to what we saw with the DTM cars, which means not only do they require more aerodynamics in order to function properly, but they also give off more dirty air, and the dirty air is, you know, more detrimental to these cars as well. So you may find yourself struggling just being a little bit further back from the car ahead than you would when you get to the end of that straight, just purely because, you know, you're not quite as... Oh no! Whoops. More trouble for the Dexfin car. That's Senol, who's gone around, and he's got it facing in the right direction. And I think it's going to put Vakulchek, his teammate, right up behind him, who should be... Yep, and there he is, just coming into the shot there. He's got Kovarik right behind him for company. Sikora is in that pack as well, too. So unfortunately, Senol has dropped from the back of the battle for 11th position and now moves to the front of the pack in the battle for 14th position. So that's definitely unfortunate for him, but he's still got plenty of points to fight for. This is what it looks like for Kovacic. And just in case anybody was wondering, this is what it's looking like for him. It's now a 3-second gap between himself and Stefanko. It's about an 7 or 8 cent gap between Stefanko and Vizzi. Oh, I love the roar of that V8 as it comes past down towards the
very same
corner.
Thing.
Oh man, that is music to my ears. Fantastic stuff. So at the moment, it's really looking like, as I mentioned previously, it's a battle for second. Kovacic continuing to build that gap a little bit at the front.
Yeah, that camera that is right there in between turns 10 and 11, because the cars pass so close to it, is just a Mercedes musical, isn't it? Oh, it's just absolutely great bone shaker. But yeah, Kovacic doing his own Kovacic thing. He's now 3 seconds to the good. Vizzi chasing Stefanko hard, but we don't know how much pressure he's putting on. Blazek, there he is, very much on his own now in 5th position. Lucas Machado has pitted a little earlier than I would possibly imagine, but that's put him down to 18th place, but he's got his pit stop out of the way, and he will gain positions as the race continues. The big shot cars have not reappeared, and it's possible that they may not do so for the rest of the races. They are now 6 laps down. But look at that pack behind Blazek. That's Kujela that's leading that particular squabble, with Mateja and Siratek right behind. There's Korony in the second Mogul car. Now, something else I noticed, look at the damage on the front of Kostadik's TB car. Oh, that's bold. You had no room to fit that car in there. Oh my goodness, no. Ooh. You have to commit to that much earlier. That's always going to happen if you make a dive like that into turn 6 and someone spins, as Pavel Reigl has sadly done so. But yeah, the damage on the front of I think it was Siratek's. It was Kostadik's car, beg your pardon. Yeah, that's another reason why the people are struggling. He's quick enough, just about, in the straights, but he's not able to corner as efficiently. So that's just going to bunch them up. But again, he's quick where he needs to be to keep people behind him. And yeah, again, you can understand why people are going to get frustrated with that.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. You know, we've been talking about how difficult it is to overtake at the circuit, and that's the kind of problems that you run into. Is the desperation starts to set in. People start going, trying to, you know, create gaps, but also when you're put in a certain position when you're defending as well, you should be they might be thinking to themselves, oh, I should definitely be able to defend here. It's so difficult to overtake and stuff. So then you might have people being a little bit more aggressive on the defensive side, not just the offensive side. So it just makes things more difficult for everybody. But great to see Blazek again. Just as a reminder, when we looked at those stats earlier on, Michael Blazek has not picked up a top 5 finish so far in 2020. So he's currently looking to change that at the moment. He's holding on to that 5th place position. Pretty sizable gap ahead of him, so I don't think he's going to be challenging the top 4 unless there is some sort of coming together, something like that. Speaking of which, the 2nd through 4th battle has started to spread out a little bit. Vizzi's still just about keeping up with. He's maybe lost a 10th since I last checked in on it, but Pastor really starting to fall off the back of Vizzi now. It's almost 2 seconds between those guys, so that's why at the moment we are fully focused on the Logitech of Kujela. And what a points haul for Logitech this would be, actually. And this is really what they would need in that championship in order to keep Benzina at bay, because look at Benzina, 2 drivers on the podium. So at the moment, it's really all on Kujela, actually, to really try and maximize the points haul for Logitech here in order to keep that gap to Benzina.
Yeah, this is what we've had all season long. It has been Logitech and Benzina, but in a very unusual sense.
Yes.
And the Kovacic just runs off into the distance. The Benzina pair tend to be on the podium or thereabouts, and Kujela has struggled somewhat with these GT3 cars, although 6th position is a solid place, and he's doing a great job defending against the likes of Matej and Siratek, as we now switch to Vakulchik and Kovarik having their own fight for 15th position. Both the Autoscola Node cars are in that vicinity as well, so they could also be fighting for the last few points available. But yeah, that's what we've always seen, haven't we? Is Kovacic running off, the Benzina pair being very close and right towards the top, and Kujela doing what he can to try and kind of recover as many points as he can. But we changed car after this race. That's something worth noting. Is Kovarik. Yeah, I was thinking you're brave to try an outside manoeuvre at the hairpin, but give it a go. Why not? But yeah, you need to be committed to that a little earlier. It's easy for me to say in the commentary box. I'm well aware of that. I could easily hear the drivers coming after me saying, "You try it then." Well, whoa, that's a bit more of a bold move going into turn 8. It's possible there, and it has forced Vakulchik into a much more defensive manoeuvre. Oh, is he going to try and cut underneath him in towards turn 10? The straight's not really long enough, unfortunately, for that. And there's no braking zone into there. Right. So, good effort there for Kovarik. He's really making his intentions known, and that's going to, make Vakulchik much more conscious of the fact that the Autoscola Node cars are there and ready to fight. So that could force Vakulchik into a much more defensive position. Fastest lap by Kovacic. I mean no disrespect, but that's exactly what we'd rather expect. Again, I don't mean to be disrespectful to the top guy, because my god has he done so well in this GT3 phase, but will he keep that momentum going in the IndyCar phase, which is the car we're switching to after this round? That I'm very curious to see, because my god, is that thing a very different beast.
Yeah, very different sort of animal, very different properties. I mean, just completely different, actually, in so many ways. So it is going to shake things up, but Kovacic really seems to be on the ball this season, and really just at one with this. A bit of a contact there between the Nobe car and the Dexfin car. And this is, by the way, working out very well for Senol, because remember, Senol nearly dropped into this battle when he had that mistake earlier on. He's currently, you can see, just up the road in a battle with Pavel Reigl in the Lenovo Legion car. But this is fantastic for Senol, what Vakulchik is doing, because without Vakulchik right now, I have a feeling that both Kovarik and Sikora would be all over the back of Senol and in that battle for 13th position. So Vakulchik is doing an absolutely stellar job right now. Siratek, by the way, in the pits at the moment in the ESET car, was the leading ESET car until coming into the pits. And there goes Senol as well, actually, in the Dexfin, the leading Dexfin car, also coming into the pits with just under 28 minutes remaining in this race. Not quite at the halfway point, but good to see that we're seeing quite a bit of variation. Sometimes with these races, we see a lot of cars come in a single lap, and personally, what I like to see is a bit of variety, so that we see some drivers having to navigate their way through traffic, that kind of thing. Because at the moment, if Kovacic were to come into the pits, he'd probably be coming out still inside the top 10, I would say, something like that. But with traffic ahead, which is great to see. That's what we want to see. We want to see these drivers have to work for it. Speaking of Kovacic, the gap now to Stefanko about 4.6 seconds. So that continues to grow as we get another fantastic look from Thomas Corney, currently running in 9th position in that ESET car. You can see on the right-hand side just how he is navigating this Okayama circuit through the left-hander into the right-hander of Hobbs. That's turn 9, and then down towards the penultimate corner. As I mentioned, it is it's not a 90-degree corner. You might think it's a 90-degree corner just from looking at it on the outside, but it is not a 90-degree corner. It's a little bit more open than that, so you can really carry quite a bit of speed, which is exactly what, Chris, you were talking about earlier. It's really not a braking zone, so it's so difficult to try and cut under at Hobbs at turn 9 and try to get a run into turn 10, because you really don't brake at turn 10.
No, you're relying on someone making a mistake at that turn 9, running maybe a little bit too wide, maybe a touch either too aggressive on the gas so the tail starts to dance, or they've run too wide or something like that. Did you see how smooth Thomas Corney was? That was like silk.
Yes.
There was no snapping at the steering wheel. It would just turn in it just enough, and then applying. I'm sure it may feel very differently to him because it's very easy just judging by the steering wheel motion. He might be sweating himself to death, and also when you're running in VR, as I do know, my God, do you sweat? Because you can generate a lot of heat in those things. As we look back from Costa League, that's the other Carney. Oh, that's getting close. I thought that was going to be a move then from the Mogul car, but again, this camera, that's the only downside of this gearbox camera. It does exaggerate that movement, and there is the autoscope and no car of Kvarik on the inside of Vakulchik. Now, can he get it done? He's going to have the outside for the next 2 turns, and no, he can't. Oh, great effort. Oh, me of little faith. Oh, that's going to put him down on the marbles, though. Oh, what a great exit, though, from turn 7 from Piper, and that's shot him past and immediately dives for the apex to defend the inside line. He's had enough of being behind Siratek. Nicely done. That's Jan Sikora. Oh, no, it isn't. It was Kvarik. I beg your pardon. I'm reading the position wrong. There is Jan Sikora looking to do the same thing. Nicely done, Kvarik. He's had enough of being in that position. He now claims that 13th place.
And Sikora, you can bet, is going to want to do the exact same thing as quickly as possible. As everyone knows in motorsport, the driver that you're compared to the most is always going to be your teammate. So Sikora is going to want to try and clear this X-Fin car of Vakulchik as quickly as he possibly can. Try to keep up with the back of his teammate and see if he can make that overtake and gain that position over his teammate, because that, of course, always looks good. Here we go with Kostulik and Corney. Actually, Corney with a fantastic exit out of turn 4 at Atwood. He's going to get the inside line on the run down towards the turn 5 hairpin as well. If he could be late enough on the brakes here, he can really squeeze out the TP link, and I think he is going to indeed get that done. I think that's the cleanest overtake we've seen all race long, so I have to applaud Corney, because that was about as textbook. When you're describing the ideal overtake at Okayama, you're pretty much describing what just happened there.
Yep, and he committed to that very, very early on, and in he went. Job done. Good effort there. As both big shot cars are back in the biz. I did see Stepanovsky come back out on track, but sadly Stepanovsky has brought that one back in again, so nothing happening for the big shot cars, unfortunately. What a shame for them as we come back to the Autoscope Nope cars. It's good to see them, actually. We don't often get to see the Autoscope Nope cars, which is a great shame because, again, they generally are very much together, but we don't often see them having a battle, so it's good to give them some airtime, although they are being caught by that Siratek and the ESEC car behind them, because he's just been in the pits. There is Lucas Brachadi, who pitted very, very early, on board now with that's Jan Sikora that we're on board with, the second Autoscope Nope car. Now, we were talking about being smooth. This is the opposite of it, unfortunately. You just saw him really fighting with the car. And a bit of, he's letting the car slide there when he's at turn 2. That's fine. But it's when you're soaring at the wheel, trying to get the thing to corner, that's when you know that, that's when you're in for a really hard day. Wow, he really threw the steering wheel over coming into turn 4. Whereas what we saw earlier from Thomas Carney was that really smooth movement. He's very much at one with the car. I think Jan Sikora is probably going to be quite happy to go past these GT3 cars. Hopefully his time will come in the Indy cars.
Yeah, it's been a difficult one. Sikora, another veteran of VGP, a name that we're also very, very familiar with for years and years now. And he's had up seasons and down seasons, and I would describe this as a down season, which honestly is a compliment for him. Because we know what he is capable of. But again, there's been all sorts of struggle, and a lot of it does come down to the fact that we're now on iRacing instead of Assetto Corsa. A lot of the fundamentals are there, but when you have a field as close as all of these guys are, it's very easy to lose a couple of tenths per lap. And when you're losing a couple of tenths per lap, that's 10-20 seconds over the course of a race. It's a huge difference. people don't really think about these minor differences in the way that they add up over the course of an entire race, and you know, they might think that somebody has like lost it or something like that. No. Chris and I have lost it. These guys are just struggling with with changes to their competition and stuff, and you know, that happens in real motorsport as well. You might have a technical change that comes about one season, and you have you know, maybe some younger drivers that work better with it. Oh, wow, that is a late dive for Sirotech. He was alongside there, though. I think he deserved to be given some room there from Sikora. A little bit of bumping between the two of them. But, oh, he didn't get the exit that he needed. He has to duck back into the slipstream. He's going to flash his lights at him as well, too. Now, Sikora is under no obligation whatsoever to let Sirotech through. And this is exactly the reason why you should consider when you pit, because if you pit early, yes, you're going to have fresher tires than everybody, but you're going to be in traffic.
Yep, and that is exactly the situation Sirotech did not want. And wow, he is dancing with that car. But yeah, coming back to what you were saying, you know, you do lose, you know, when you don't have the confidence in the car, how you attack the corners, how you drive, everything totally changes. You are terrified to do anything. You feel like you have an egg under the brake pedal, to use another commentator's analogy. You know, everything feels like it's going to snap at any given moment. But when everything is just exactly as you want it, you know, you can plant the car any way you want, and there goes Sirotech on Jan Sikora. Oh, it does, saying what you were saying earlier, Jan Sikora being such a veteran, does feel a shame when he's picked off as easily as that. But that comes back to what I was saying. Wow, as Sirotech really pushes on the exit of turn 3. But yeah, if you're not confident in the car, if you just can't get that setup right, you can't push, you can't get the maximum out of it. You know, your true potential just isn't realised. And I think that's really what we're seeing from those that are struggling somewhat with the GT3 car. I mean, that could be partly the sim we're using. iRacing is very, very different to the sim we've used in the past. The car itself obviously handles very differently to most other things or certainly the Indy cars we mentioned, a very, very different beast. So there could be any number of different factors going on that could explain it, but that is motor racing. That is the nature of the beast, and that is what we've always had within VGP. We've always had that multiple car setup, which is one of the unique and amazing features of this series. So I really can't wait to see how the field, or if the field indeed shuffles up, maybe exactly the same. Maybe this man will be last. I mean, who knows? I mean, if we could give him maybe tyres made out of a sponge, then you know, the rest of the field would have a chance. But no, Kovacic has just done so well, hasn't he? He's just been absolutely bulletproof. We haven't seen him off into the dust. We haven't seen him do, you know, dangerous manoeuvres. When he has had to, you know, defend, which has been exceedingly rare, you know, he's always done it cleanly. I mean, what can you say? What negative can we put to Mr. Kovacic? We can't.
He's predictably boring. He's very boring, because he never does anything. He never does anything wrong. He never finishes outside of a decent position. So that's the one negative that you can really say about him, is that he's a little bit boring.
I'm sure he would take that. I'm sure he would be happy with that.
Absolutely. But his teammate, Kujela, currently running in 6th position, still has Mateja in the TP lane car for company. And Pachada, in the leading Pachada brother in the Thrustmaster car in 8th position, not that far behind either. So certainly if those guys start battling one another, that could become an issue. Blazek, though, has started to fall backwards. Now that's very interesting. I'm sort of surprised that we haven't seen anyone come into the pits, but that's another thing I wanted to touch on when it comes to the pits. Oh, there is David Pajada coming into the pits, joining the two big shot cars, who are I assume having lunch together or something like that at this point. And here's the two Benzina cars. I was noticing that gap was getting very, very close between those two. Haven't really seen a lot of side-by-side stuff, though. I'm gonna assume that Benzina have sort of like a hold station until the end of the race kind of thing going on, because, you know, why bother holding each other up with side-by-side battling when, you know, really it all comes down to what's going to happen at the end of the race, who's got the fresher tires at the end of the race. They are so evenly matched, Stefanko and Vizzy, which is just fantastic to see. you love to see just a strong pairing like this. And it really is. It's sort of like the old guard versus the new dog and sort of all that kind of stuff, which is a wonderful battle that you love to see. Really just fantastic stuff. I'm a big fan of the Benzina team this year. I love what they're doing. Kovacic again is the guy that's kind of winning everything. But Benzina have just kind of always been there, and that's exactly why they're second in the championship standings. So. Fantastic stuff. We are approaching the 16-minute mark, though, so I am expecting a lot of cars to start coming into the pits pretty soon here. So I think actually David Pichata was he made the right call, I think, there. Now he did pit out right behind Pavel Reigl in the Lenovo Legion car, and there is Thomas Korony in the ESET car coming into the pits now. Sikora is just making his way out of the pits, actually, with just under 16 minutes to go in this race. There is the other ESET car of Sirotech. Are we going to see him come into the pits? Are we going to see any of these guys coming into the pits? Oh, I think I saw some dust being kicked off as somebody was coming off into the pits. It wasn't an ESET car. No, it looks like a lot of cars are coming around the final corner. Who is that? Is that one of the Nobe cars? Yeah, that's Kovarik.
Yeah.
And then and then Korony is just coming out of the pits now and is actually going to come out behind Lucas Pichata. Now that's interesting. See, I think Pichata did it right when it comes to pitting early. He pitted so early that he came out with clean air, and now he's making overtakes.
This is not what David Pichata wants, but he's going to be able to outbrake Pavel Reigl. Lovely move. That was nice, but has he compromised his exit, though, from that hairpin down the straight? And this is exactly why I was meaning, because he had to take quite a narrow line through turn 4. Is he going to be nailed by the Legion car? Is he going to be able to fend off Pavel Reigl? It does look like it. Very nicely done, David Pichata.
Beautiful.
Like it a lot. And that's one of the moguls in. That's not Blazek.
That is Blazek.
Oh no, it is Blazek. I beg your pardon. Is the lead mogul car has decided now to come in, and that's fair enough. He was being caught. This is what you were alluding to. He was being slowly reeled in by was it Kujala?
Mateja.
It was Mateja.
And Kujala, yeah, both of them.
Both of them, yeah.
They're both right.
So instead of losing time defending against them, he's chosen now to save his pit stop. Oh, both mogul cars are in. Well, they don't share a pit stall as in other categories. That is one stall per car, so that's not going to cost them any time, and one in, one out anyway. As Blazek, he needs to beat the Thrustmaster car, and he does.
Only just.
Flashing's only just, and that's the Sirotech. That's the Sirotech. That's the ESET of Sirotech. I beg your pardon. Having a bit of an argy-bargy with Pavel Reigl. Again, he has a thing about flashing his lights. If there's no particular rule against it, then why not? It's you could deem that a little unsporting in some instances, but if he's not breaking a rule, then
there's no horn. It's their only way of self-expression. So,
and the Benzinas have swapped. It looks like the Benzinas have swapped. Stefenko's in. That's why. Stefenko is in. So they have swapped round because the lead of Martin Stefenko has brought his car into the pits. So that's the first of the top 3 that has brought his car into the pits. Where is Stefenko going to reappear? He's really going to aim for that gap in between 6th and 7th, I'd have thought. As Mateja pits as well, so that might make that a little easy to hit. Look at this lot here. Considering we're in the heading towards some kind of the last third of the race, and we've got a lot of people in a very short space here. So if Stefenko's repeated 5th ahead of Mateja, well, Mateja pitted anyway, so Stefenko's landed in a lovely bit of clean air. That's really going to help him. I don't know that Mateja is going to have the same luxury. Oh yes, he is. Mateja is going to come out right ahead of that Blazek Pichata battle. That's worked out brilliantly well for the TP Lane car.
Yeah, Mateja actually having a really solid race here today, and in fact, TP Link in general, I don't think Kostulik has pitted yet. So I think he is due to drop, but solid race for Mateja. After a couple of pit stops, I think he's going to be... I think he's actually going to be in 5th, if I'm not mistaken. But we got to see how all of that's going to shake out over the course of the next 12 minutes and some change, as Michael Blazek is defending from David Pichata. This is for 8th position, not that far behind the TP Link of Mateja, who did just come out on a brand new set of tires, though, so I would imagine he is going to be feeling fairly comfortable. Here is Kovacic coming into the pits, really, really close to the end of the race. That is Eric Vizzi, Daniel Pastor, all of those guys coming in as well with just over 11 and a half minutes still remaining. Kujela is also into the pits in the other Logitech car, so this does seem to be the most popular time. And there is Martin Stefanko as he's coming around through the final corner. And where is he going to be relative to Eric Vizzi? Vizzi is coming out now, and Stefanko is going to be comfortably ahead. I was wondering if Vizzi was going to be able to overcut his teammate on that one, because of course, when you have refueling, the overcut can be beneficial because you're so light on fuel. However, because these guys left it so late, Stefanko came out with a very small amount, he only needed 15 minutes worth of fuel anyway. So I don't think it made a huge difference as far as that's concerned. Back on board with Blazek, who now finds himself in 7th position, still just ahead of David Pichata, though, and with Sirotech not that far behind. And then the other Thrustmaster of Lucas Pichata rounding out the top 10 just a few seconds behind that ESET car. So that's how things are looking at the moment. Mateja is just up at the road, and so is Kujela, interestingly enough. So actually, from 5th all the way down to 10th, it's less than 10 seconds. So, not the biggest of gaps, but certainly not the smallest of gaps. But we could see some changes of position starting to happen here, especially as a lot of these guys did come in at completely different times. So we are going to see very different, or slightly different at least, tire levels, which could produce some overtakes here. But one thing we could be certain of is that Michael Blazek is going to be defending hard, and that could be very entertaining.
Yeah, Blazek really needs Sirotech to get involved in this. He really needs a rear gunner in the form of the ESET car, because David Pichata is doing a great job just piling on the pressure and keeping the Mogul car in check. So there you go, there's a graphic. Everybody has been through the pits. Janssen has apparently been through the pits twice. I didn't spot him go through a second time, but that would explain that he is a lap down, unfortunately, at this point. Blazek's run a little bit wide. Oh dear, that's going to really put him in trouble. From David Pichata behind there, you can see the Mogul car beginning to go for the defensive line, but he backed out of that. And David Pichata's banzaied on the inside of turn 1. Can Blazek maintain the momentum? He wants the inside for 2, which will then give him the inside for 3, and he does. Nicely defended from Michael Blazek. But David Pichata right then, my goodness, every time we seem to look at Sirotech, he's either flashing his lights or wagging his tail. He is really pushing hard, but he can smell blood in the water. He's seen these two fighting, and look at him now. This is exactly what Blazek needed. He's got now Sirotech really involved in this battle, and the ESET guys had a great run from turn 4. This could get interesting. He's going to look to try and commit to the inside of the Thrustmaster guys. He's going to go for it. Oh, he's not got a lot of room, but not quite. But that forced Pichata to give him the room, and he's not going to be able to get the traction he needs from there, but that is going to back Pichata off of Blazek. That's exactly what the Mogul car needed. Now Blazek needs to capitalize on this and run. But, we've seen how much of a hard charger Sirotech is, so this battle is going to be fascinating.
This is absolutely fantastic stuff. I like that you 100% called that, by the way, about Sirotech coming in and saving Blazek from losing that 7th place position. That's exactly what's going on. Looking a little bit further back, Kostulik did indeed need to go into the pits when I was looking at him before, but he did only drop down to 13th position, so not his best race, but certainly having a solid race with his teammate up in 6th position. So 6th and 13th for TP Link as it stands right now, but that could easily become 6th and 14th if the other Mogul of Corny. In fact, it's a TP Link versus Mogul in both parts of the field.
Twice.
Yeah, we've got Mateja versus Blazek and Corny versus Kostulik as well. And there is the light flashing from Sirotech, who does seem very quick, I have to say. He kind of flew up to the back of the Thrustmaster, and that was, with a little bit of battling going on between the Thrustmaster and the Mogul, but not a ton. So I think Sirotech may actually be the fastest driver in this trio. And potentially, if they start battling, you can see the other Pichata brother in the background there, Lucas Pichata in 10th position. You could just about see him as they're coming down towards turn 5, lurking in the background. And certainly he could involve himself in this battle if the three of them start battling one another, which it looks like that's about to happen very shortly here.
Oh, Sirotek has fallen off the back of David Brichardo. That is not what Blazek needed. So now the battle shift is changed a little bit. David Brichardo he was a little bit deep into this corner last time around at turn 8. Now through 9. Our favourite camera's going to come up in a minute. Oh, the camera changed. Never mind. We've enjoyed it so far in this race, and there will be a few more opportunities. But this is what Blazek has had to deal with all race long, and what he has to continue to deal with. Oh, that was
so
interesting.
Ominous. The front grille on this Mercedes is so mean.
It is. It's such an imposing figure, isn't it?
Exactly.
Along with the growl, you've also got teeth going on there. So it's such a complete picture, isn't it? But what a wonderful car the Mercedes GT3 car is. But this is going to be interesting. Can Brichardo basically ignore Sirotek and just go after the Mogul car? That's going to be a fascinating dynamic. But whilst they're fighting, are they losing time against Matasia? I'm not sure they are, actually, because I thought that was 4 seconds between Matasia and Blazek before. It's now 3 or so. So they might actually be gaining, unless Matasia made a mistake. There is the second TP Link car. Also, last lap around, I noticed Blazek really went defensive very, very early down this straight, which is a little bit odd because Brichardo wasn't quite in a position to attack. But it just goes to show he knows the attacker's potential. So he's making a statement of intent. I know you're there. I will defend against you if I have to. And here we go again. The battle, battle shift is going on again. It looks like Brichardo is falling slightly off the back of Blazek. When we're saying falling off the back in this contest, we're talking about hundredths of a second. We're not talking any major thing, but it is enough. It's enough to shift the focus from Brichardo attacking Blazek to Brichardo defending against Sirotek. So, this is absolutely brilliant. More of it. Add another 10 minutes of the race, please.
Yeah, unfortunately, we only have less than 5 minutes to go, plus a little bit. It's not a full lap, which just essentially whenever whenever it hits 0, they get to finish that lap as we go into turn 1 once again here in this race. By the way, I was doing some quick maths while you were speaking, and I think Kovacic is averaging about 0.3 per lap faster than Martin Stefanko, because he's at about 11 seconds at 27 laps, so it's actually a little bit less than 0.3 per lap, if I'm not mistaken about that. But yeah, it doesn't sound like all that much, but what Kovacic has been doing, and there he is in the current championship leading Logitech, the number 15, he's doing exactly what he's needed to do all season long. And he's just been so consistently slightly quicker. And again, we're talking about tenths, a couple of tenths per lap. But when you do 30 laps over the course of a race, that's what causes it to to add up to 10 seconds or more in the case of today's race at Okayama. And there is the Lenovo Legion of Daniel Pastor, the highest positioned of the drivers that isn't in one of the top 2 teams, but doing a fantastic job. Again, he's less than 5 seconds off of that podium position, and maybe Daniel Pastor hasn't been enough of a talking point in this season. He's doing a fantastic job, certainly here today, to sort of be best of the rest. He was just ever so slightly a little bit off. We were talking about how 11 seconds is only a couple of tenths per lap. 3 tenths per lap. Whoa! Sirotek with the very, very late lunge on the Thrustmaster car, and he gets it done. Holy cow! That is wow. The amount of opposite lock that Sirotek had to put into that to slow that one down. Here's the second Brichardo brother of Lucas fighting off the other E-set car of Carney. My goodness. Wow. So it's you want to talk about? So it's TP Link versus Mogul and E-set versus Thrustmaster. That's what Okayama has been all about. Very much so. And this is the view that I love. This is what I've been looking forward to. That VR shot with a car that he's fighting. So Thomas Carney is now going to try and size up Lucas Brichardo. He's gaining. Is he going to banzai on the inside of turn 5? Well, he doesn't need a banzai. He's already got the move done before he even gets there. Nicely done. And there's that lovely smooth style from Carney again. Whoops. A wiggle. Not quite so smooth, just as I mentioned it, but well done, Thomas Carney. That was a nice, clean move there. But yes, Sirotek, my goodness, he had that. He locked the brakes, full, opposite lock. When you're turning,
left into a right-hander, you know things aren't going quite your way, but he managed to make it stick, and that, I'm sure, woke David Ricciardo up somewhat.
Respect. I mean, I have to respect him for that one. That was really impressive from Sirotech. Possibly overtake of the weekend. I would definitely put that up there. Because, that was a really late lunge. And turn 1 is not that much. I mean, they're going 100, 120 kph through turn 1. It's not exactly a slow speed corner. It's certainly not a hairpin in the way that turn 5 is a hairpin, or turns 8 and 9, for example. Even turn 4 is not nearly as much of a hairpin compared to those. See, they're going through turn 4 right now. It's quite tight at the entrance, and then it really opens up. So you got to slow it right down at the entrance of the corner, but then you're just flat out at the exit because it really, really opens up. It's an increasing radius corner is turn 4. So you really got to just slam on the brakes, but then you can go quite hard on the throttle pretty early into the corner as well too. Even before you get to the apex, you can go quite hard onto the throttle. And Sirotech is all over the back of Blazek, and look at the gap that these guys have started to place between themselves and David Pachada. I hope Pachada hasn't picked up any sort of damage, because he is actually starting to fall into the clutches of Thomas Corrady in that ESET car, who's already overtaken one Thrustmaster. He's already proven he knows how to do it, and this is the final lap, so I don't think he's going to have enough time left to do it. Sirotech and Blazek still very close to one another. Sirotech, obviously running out of opportunities here, decided to try it up the inside into Hobbs. Couldn't quite make it work. Certainly not going to make it work into either of the penultimate or final corners, and it is going to be Michael Blazek that holds on to that very well-deserved 7th place position, but it is Kovacic who picks up the win. The Benzinas both on the podium. Stefanko ahead of Vizzy. What a race. Maybe not quite what we got with the DTM cars, Chris, but still an instant classic.
We're not there yet. They're still going. Kovacic hasn't crossed the line. The checker flag is out.
Thank you.
It may still go that way. I have done the very same thing as you've just done.
Yep.
There we go. That's what I thought Sirotech was going to do, and he couldn't get it done. I think he may have just... Yeah, he needed to have done that in turn 5, the one coming up.
Yeah,
and that may have given him... Yeah, he's gone too early there. He may well given Blazek just enough for him to defend, but now we're going to see the race come to an end. Your winner here at Okayama, Kovacic, 6 for 6 here at in the GT3 class, over the line to take the win. There is Pavel Rigel right behind him. I mean, again, you cannot fault him. Absolutely great stuff. Stefanko takes second spot, with Eric Vizzy taking the third. There in the background is the other Lenovo Legion car of Daniel Pastor, and being followed by Jan Sikora. Again, not really gotten his way, but hopefully we'll see stronger results from... I thought Sirotech had actually gotten past Blazek, but no, Blazek's actually managed to defend that 7th spot from Sirotech. I bet you it was that one move at turn 4. Oh, yeah, he's pushed a little bit too hard there. He's not going to be able to do anything now. Flash of the lights from Blazek this time. Yep, I know how to use my lights too, sir. And there's the other ESET car. Yeah, not a bad, 8th and 9th for Sirotech and Carney. Not bad at all. Z comes over the line then. So Lucas Pachada in the Thrustmaster car. Oh, what a race. It wasn't quite as insane as it was last time, but still very, very, very entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Really, really enjoyed that one, I have to say. Very different sort of car compared to what we saw, as we touched on during the race. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Matej Koreny in the other mogul, the number 25, is going to cross the line in 13th position and ahead of the Dexfin cars, both of the Dexfin cars, in fact. Actually, there's some people coming into the pits. That's going to make things a bit confusing. And there is Kovarik, the last one across the line.
So to confirm then, there's your top 3. We've seen these 3 in these positions before, and once again, Simon Kovacic takes the top spot, Stefanko 2 and Eric Vizzy 3. Daniel Pastor in 4th, Peter Kujela from 9th position, finishing in 5th. Lucas Matej in 12th, finishing in 6th. Wow. Great effort there. Blazek 11th to 7th, great effort there. Sirotech 8th, Pachada 9, and Thomas Carney finishing rounding up the top 10. Simon Kovacic, of course, taking the fastest lap. Then Lucas Pachada, not quite such a strong race for him. Kostanik, not bad, 17th to 12th. Then Senol, Koreny, Vukulchik, Kovarik, Rigel, Sikora, and Sandy, the Big Shot cars, seeing much more of the pit lane than the racetrack.
Wow, a 29-2 from Kovacic. A 29-2. That is, wow. I mean, absolutely incredible stuff. It's easy to see why he was able to pick up that win today, and it is now 49 points in the driver standings between the Logitech and the leading Benzina, which is Eric Vizzi. Of course, Stefanko picking up the bigger points haul for Benzina here today. Kujela into 4th position, level on points with Daniel Pastor, though, both sitting at 78 and only 3 points ahead of Lucas Pachada in the Thrustmaster car. So it is extremely close, aside from the Logitech leading the way. Aside from that, things are looking quite good in the championship. Things are looking quite tight. Unfortunately for Jan Sikora, not picking up any additional points today. It was a tough one for the Autoscola Nobe cars, but they still have plenty of opportunities to try and pick up lots of points here. It is going to be quick maths, 43 points between Logitech and Benzina in the team's championship, and then another 49 points down to Thrustmaster with the Pachada brothers. Lenovo Legion currently sitting another 22 points adrift, just 10 points ahead of ESET, who had that fantastic result today. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Thanks so much to Chris Buxton for joining me. Thanks to the entire VGP team and all of the drivers, and we'll see you next time for rounds 7 and 8 from the classic circuits of Silverstone and Monza.